Hi, and welcome to episode 17 of Knitting with QueerJoe. Today I wanted to go a little bit over in person, at least on video in person, with some of the folks to talk a little bit about more in depth of my latest finished object. I'm also going to go over what I've got coming up next and some of the things keeping me busy at this point. I will try to keep this under 20 minutes because not a whole lot of people have a ton of time to spend, so I'll try to jam in as much as I possibly can. So this is the offending completed object. I actually love this design. It's the waterline design, and I particularly like the graphics, the graphic nature of it. Mine is slightly different because I started running out of the, if you've been reading my blog recently, you'll realize that I was running out of the blue yarn. And so I basically just finished it off with my contrasting color yarn. Some of you liked that, some of you didn't. But the main reason as I started to do this, when I first started introducing the orange yarn into this way back at the beginning, I love the blue yarn and I love the orange yarn, and I like orange and blue combinations of color because I think high contrast is a really good way of going. But it started to take on kind of a Miami Dolphins sort of like look. Sorry for the sports reference, but I just didn't like the difference in brightness and hue of the two different colors. I wish I'd gone with something much more subtle in comparison as a contrasting yarn. But I thought I would get over it. In fact, like many of you, I loved Laura's idea of magical, she called it magical hoping or wishing, I forget which it was. I'm going to read through some of your comments. I think of it as magical thinking, that magically this will fix itself, and of course it doesn't. So I am going to be frogging this entire thing, ripping out this entire thing. And for a couple reasons. One is, that whole idea of does it bring joy? And yes, it brings joy still, but would I wear it? And I really wouldn't. And at this point in my career, I wrote about in the blog about a perfectionist that I worked with who used to frog everything, no matter even the smallest thing that she didn't like about it, and she would rip out the entire thing and redo it. I'm starting to get a little bit more like a perfectionist as well, because I'm realizing that I don't have craft shows to sell it at anymore. I have a couple bins worth of finished knitwear that is not going to sell. Eventually I'll give it as gifts or whatever. People will dispose of it when I die probably. So any of the things that I make are either going to be specific gifts that I know people want, or they're going to be things that I will wear, Thaddeus will wear. And if they're not things that we're going to wear, it seems silly to not rip it out. Let me go through a couple of your comments. And just one more comment about this. If you look at the original design on Ravelry for the waterline shawl, you'll see it's a much more subtle contrasting color, and I wish I had gone with that subtle. I find that really appealing. In fact, the first one I ever made of these, and I'll post a photo of it in the video, the first one I ever made of this was a much more subtle contrast between the two colors. But let me go ahead and read through some of these comments. First of all, Tom writes, I think it looks good. I like the contrasting colors. Again, I like these contrasting colors in general. I don't like these two shades of the contrasting colors. I don't find that they work well together. I think they kind of fight with each other a little bit, or have too almost garish of a contrast. Leslie writes, I can see your point, Joe. I haven't been a fan of the contrast since you posted the first pictures of it, and that large bottom portion of orange would have me at the frog pond too. I'll admit I frog a lot. If I don't like the way something is turning out, I simply don't keep it intact. It happens, we try something new, it doesn't look promising, but we continue hoping for a magically better result. Don't feel bad, my friend. You had the fun of knitting it, and you'll have fun working with these yarns again, although it will most likely be on two separate projects. And that's exactly right, Leslie. That magical thinking, first of all, didn't happen as I hoped it would. But I love the process of knitting this, and so I don't feel bad at all. just so you all are aware. And I love both these yarns, so they will definitely be used in something. Corinne writes, I like it now that you added the wider orange strip. Before it didn't make visual sense to me. However, you have to like it. And that's exactly right. I actually liked it better after I added the what some people have referred to as the blob of orange at the top of it. I actually thought it made it better. It kind of balanced out the very bright orange with the not quite bright enough blue to compare with it type of thing. Anyway, in my mind, that's how I'm seeing it. Laura also said, that's funny about keeping knitting but not doing in the ends. I like the little stripes of orange, but not so much the big chunk at the end. Overall, though, I would say do not frog it, just sew in the ends and sell it. Again, Laura, I'm not selling things anymore, and so I'm really not looking to make things. Thaddeus always has this great thing whenever we find a houseware product out there that we really like, but no, we can't fit it in our house. He always says, yeah, we'll buy it for our second house. Well, we don't have a second house, and we'll probably never have a second house. Similarly, if it's a garment that I'm just not going to wear, it's definitely not going to be something I'm going to keep around. Sanford writes, I like the color combo, but personally I like it better with the single rows of orange rather than the big blob of orange. If that were me, I'd frog only the big blob and go back to alternating the single rows of orange with the turquoise. Again, I had run out of the blue, so that wasn't an alternative. I could have either cut it short and so that I only had the single rows, but it would have been a slightly smaller shawl. And again, I wasn't enthralled with the color combo to begin with, so Laura Rose again writes, I love Magically Hoping. Ah, yes, I am familiar. We've talked about that. Diane writes, if it were me and it's not, I'd replace the red wedge with blue or green, but you do you. I agree with you. In fact, I had done a lace shawl in kind of a very geometrical lace type of thing in a really flat green color that I thought would have made a really nice contrasting color with the indigo blue. But I decided it's just not worth it with this yarn unless I have enough. Anyway, I decided that that's not where I'm going to go with it. And is that all here? And then finally, I think Helen writes, 2 wonderful new terms, Frog Pond and Magically Hoping. Thank you, Leslie. The shawl is wonderful until the big splash of orange. I'd go right past Timeout to the Frog Pond. Do they have a beverage service? Remembering that blue yarn is limited and supply, it is definitely time to fondle at the yarn store. Thought might be like for third color with the same touch of orange body. Yep. All great ideas, and I thank you very much. Your tree, your rules. I agree with that. Thanks, Helen. Anyway, so that's where I am with this. I don't know if you all have used my favorite technique for frogging, especially a large project, but where's the end of this thing? There it is, somewhere. But basically, I just attach it to the, attach it to my, I don't do it from this side, usually. But I basically just attach the end, and since I haven't cut the ends and snipped them yet, I can pull this all off in one fell swoop, hopefully. I put the wrong end on. Never mind. We'll do that later. Maybe I'll insert a part of the video there. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what's up next. So I decided that this particular sweater that I'm wearing, you probably can't see the details of it very well, but this particular sweater that I'm wearing was a design that I did a long time ago. In fact, I knit a version of it for my sister at one point. And I like it very much. I did publish the design for Simply Knit when I was working there, and I published it in 3 different sizes. I've never made anything but what I call the large size. I think it was medium, large, and extra large or something like that. But there's 3 sizes, and I always did the middle size. That's what this one is. It's the middle size. So I decided that I want to test the smaller size and see how that looks. I have a friend that I might potentially want to give that to. And so I went out and I bought some DK yarn. This is just an inexpensive yarn called Essentials Merino, and I got it from Lovecraft Yarns, and I think it was Lovecraft, and it's in this really nice kind of slate gray blue, bluish gray sort of color. It's more gray than blue, and it's a superwash merino yarn that I thought would look nice. I've only at this point gotten up to the first couple rows in the front. This is knit in pieces, so this will be the I think the back, if I remember right. But the back and the front both start the same, so it's going to be pretty much the same. But you can see I've only gotten the ribbing done, and I've also gotten about 5 rows done on the actual body of the sweater. The other thing that I've decided I'm going to intersperse with that project is I've been wearing these socks, and you may have seen a video that I did of these socks in the past, because somebody had asked me about fold-over hems, and these socks have been so comfortable, and they look so good whenever I'm wearing them that I decided I wanted to try making another version of them. So it will be a similar helical striped, single stripe helical with 2 different colors with a hung hem or a folded over hem type of thing. I'm also going to experiment with a slightly different short row heel on the socks that I do. And so I went and picked the yarn out for it, and I've already balled it, but I haven't started the, these are going to be the 2 yarns that I'm going to be using. This is a custom dyed yarn from, sorry, I'm going to have to pull, Leading Men Fiber Arts. They had done a special combination of colors for, I think, one of the men's knitting retreats out in the Midwest, and ended up buying it. This is actually called Colorway of Homes, Homes. It's their showcase base yarn. It's 490 yards and 100 grams of superwash merino fingering weight yarn. So I'm really looking forward to doing this. This was a no-label yarn that I just had in my stash. I don't think either of them has to be particularly interesting. I think it's going to be kind of the helical spiral striping of them that's going to make it good. So that's what's the sweater and the pair of socks are the 2 things that are up next. I've also been keeping incredibly busy. The men's spring knitting retreat is slated for 5 weeks from now. And so it's going to be in the 3rd week in May. Starting May, I think I'm up there May 12th starting. And as a result, I've decided I'm leading a workshop up there. I'm going to be leading a workshop on self-publishing a fiber arts book. And basically it's going to be my lessons learned from having gone through the process of self-publishing The Fabric We Make, my book that's out there now, and walk people through what the possibilities are, how to make various decisions about, which publishing platform to use, and whether you want an audiobook, a paperback, printed copy, an ebook, or any combination of those. I've got the presentation all set for that, and I'm ready to go. But I also realized that I could do a pop-up presentation. So I've decided that I'm going to do a small pop-up presentation on crochet. Let me pull one of these patterns out. Crochet scrunchies. There's kind of, the pattern actually is called a sunflower scrunchie pattern. So you can see the picture of one that I did up there a while ago. Which is basically a very simple kind of flower shape on top of either a plain black, let me see those scrunchies very well. Oh, I can pull them out. Plain black scrunchie type of thing, or I'm also going to have a whole bunch of color hair scrunchies, hair ties that people can crochet flowers onto. These are a little bit more flimsy, but they'll still give a certain amount of stretch if somebody wants an actual ponytail type of scrunchie in a crochet version. So I'm going to do a pop-up workshop there for that. That's what I've got going on. Thanks for jumping in. Hopefully this thing will be under 15 minutes, maybe even, but it'll be in a certain amount of time where folks can get a chance to listen in. Please feel free to ask any additional questions, either about the failed FO or the new projects that I'm starting, or anything else you'd like to see. I'm going to try to bring back Knitting with QueerJoe a little bit more frequently. I haven't done one in quite a while, and hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for joining me.